This edition of Hear, O Yah, is I is or is I ain't your brother, Gidon Ben Yashara'al. Move that mic back a little bit. Where's all the cheering back at? Hurry up and get them cheerings. Where's Big Mama? Where's Pawpaw? Go out into the highways and the byways and bring all the kinfolk around the television set. Why? Because we have a special. That's right. We have a special program designed specifically with you in mind. But of course, the views and opinions expressed of those of me, a sweaty, pole-colored country boy, but no, you just put the mic right back in the way. Thank you. By way of Israel, and not those of the beautiful people here at Comcast, their management, staff, advertisers, or affiliates. Today's program, of course, yes, there is a mature verbiage alert. Why? Because we deal with mature subject matter. Today's program title, and it won't be on the screen, but it is Without Sanctuary. Yes, without sanctuary. And what do I mean by this? In America today, with the backdrop of my discussion being the Trayvon Martin case, it is certainly a travesty of justice when you have the conspiratorial consequences of the death of a young, innocent, melanated, woolly-haired young man simply walking from a store, from his father's house, which is the young lady that he was engaged to. I think it was her neighborhood. And to be shot down, as a matter of fact, a dog would be treated better, like a slave. This is what we are in this country. The issue has to do with the co-conspiracy of the police department in this brutal murder, this assassination of a young man just walking in the neighborhood. When you have the police who are complicit with the murderer, even after he disregards their instructions to leave this victim, this poor young man, alone, and he stalks him like a predator does his prey, and was determined to snuff out his life. And that's exactly what he did with the compliance of the police force. Now, of course, the latest that we've heard on this case is that the captain, quote unquote, of the police department decided to voluntarily step aside temporarily, right? So he's saying that he's going to step aside, and because him being involved has been a distraction. But understand this. He was a former homicide detective himself. But when the young Trayvon was gunned down, his blood streaming down the street, what did he send to the case? Who did he send to this victim's side? A drug detective. Now, he, a former homicide detective, as captain of the police force, decided to send someone who is a drug detective rather than a homicide detective, who would have cordoned off the area, saved evidence, and not allowed the crime scene to be trampled, erased, and ultimately for the perpetrator of this crime to be let go scot-free. Now, first I would like to say my condolences to Al Sharpton. He lost his mother. I believe she was 84 or 85 years old. Our hearts and our minds go to this warrior for our community, Al Sharpton's mother, because I'm dealing with an issue with my own mother, where I had to make an executive decision to have my mother's leg amputated to save her life. So my heart goes out to Al. I will say this in reference to this case. I saw Al on the scene he did not go to his mother's side, who had extended or expired at this point, and the family is grieving. He stayed on the case of Trayvon. But when I saw Al on the news, he looked not healthy. he just did not look healthy. He looks weary. And of course, as much as he runs across this country fighting for civil rights, and even as he fights, the rights that he and others have fought for are being repealed and taken back right in front of their face. I would hope Al would take time out in his meditation and reflection of his mother's death and see after himself. He may not be ill, he just looked like it to me. Some of you may say I may look ill, but the issue still remains. The point, however, is when we have people like the civil rights leaders that have had you all march, when it was in Gina, whether it's on the Capitol, whether it was the minister Louis Farrakhan or Martin Luther King, you have to look back and see what has been the results of these marches. Surely now the state's attorney general is involved, the FBI and others. But at the end of the day, these are the same people that were complicit and compliant in having Martin Luther King looked at as a communist, that were behind the scenes making tapes of him and trying to belittle his efforts to make a stance and a statement to this government that we are somebody, as Jesse aptly stated in his rhythmic form. But the question is who? See, the title of this program being Without Sanctuary has to do with the fact as a people we have no place in this country. And many of you have tried to dress like, look like, talk like, act like, hold up the name of your oppressor. And what has it gotten us? Trayvon was wearing a hoodie. That hoodie, if you trace back the history of it, Roman Catholic monks wore simply what we call today a hoodie, but it was a long hoodie. Today they just cut it off at the waist, put a zipper in front of it, and it's the same concept. So it's their style, their dress that our children have adopted that ultimately, because of their hatred for us, he was victimized and ultimately destroyed. And that's really what's happening to us and our families. Our children are being killed at an ever-increasing rate, and when they aren't killed, they are incarcerated. And when they aren't incarcerated, they're miseducated. And all because you continue to vote for, support, and give your allegiance to a system that hates you. As the scriptures told us, they would hate us without a cause. You know, moving on to other stories, I was at an event called Holy Hip Hop. Holy Hip Hop is a movement among our people. It's a countercultural movement that brings in the rhythmic forms and lifestyles of our youth, and they have been able to elevate it to a cultural statement. Holy Hip Hop, however, is not the demeaning, demonstrative, negative hip hop that we saw with Biggie and Tupac. Not to say that or take back their genius, because they did have genius, and as we see Jay-Z and others. But, you know, Lil' Kim and the Brat and others have debased this rhythmic form that we have been able to utilize from Gil Scott, and even Jesse Jackson was able to rhyme in sync, and put it into a gutter type of scenario that makes our women look at as whores, and they call them bitches, which is a term for a female dog, and they've been able to make millions off of that, even billions. And white supremacy allows that type of hip-hop to be formalized and practiced and to be spread like a virus in our community. Well, holy hip-hop is a counterculture. Even in the Hebraic community, we have our youth that are coming up with lyrics that have to do with more uplifting, positive, relative points that are capsulized in rhythmic form with a gangster beat behind them. The hip-hop was highlighted by young men who have been able to come together and rhythmically make their statements about their creator and do it to the sound of some really hip beats. The only point that I would bring out about holy hip-hop is that in the dress of the women, that are there. See, in America, we have not been able to realize that the number one tool of white supremacy is our women. They have unfortunately been co-opted in the system of white supremacy by being told that they have a level of freedom in the way they dress. Now, understand this. There's a woman that runs this studio. There are women behind the scenes in this studio. It's a woman that could cut the button off right now, even as I speak, because in America, women run this system. Isn't that what you see in New York Harbor? A woman standing out claiming to be Lady Liberty. But unfortunately, in the holy hip-hop arena and in the Christian community, it is the women who dress like the club scenario. They come in with the short mini skirts, the form-fitting dress, and you have to ask yourself, what is the discussion or the reason why America is at war with Muslim countries? You know what it is at the end of the day? It's gender-based, and it's because Muslim countries and other African countries are not going to allow their women to dress and do the things that they do in this country. And because our women feel through propaganda that they have somehow been suppressed in Muslim countries, i.e. Iran, Afghanistan, or Libya, where they've gone in and killed off sovereign leaders and continue. And, of course, let's not forget the mass murder in Afghanistan of a European that decided in the dead of night to go and just murder men, women, and children just because. And haven't they been doing that ever since they got us off the boats? Isn't that what they did when they went and got us on the boats? So at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself in this country who it is and what it is our families have been allowed to unleash on the world when it comes to this hip-hop arena and the hip-hop in general. We know as a people, whatever style that we perpetrate, the world follows. And unfortunately, at this time, the hip-hop arena with the sagging pants, the hoodies, and all the other accoutrements of this lifestyle has been co-opted by white supremacy and has been looked at as thuggery. But at the end of the day, what are our people doing? Mimicking their oppressor. It may be a different flair here or a sag there, but at the end of the day, it is the dress, the lifestyle, the so-called liberties of their oppressor that they are following. And that is what it is that is killing us. At the end of the day, we have to make a decision as a people who it is that we're going to follow and what will be our examples of life. Because it isn't white supremacy in and of itself, because in the book that I'm about to read to you, the scriptures say, if I had come to the Gentiles, they would heard me. Listen to what I said. If I had come to the Gentiles, they would have heard me. But many of you think you are Gentiles. Many of you love your white master to such an extent that you will look like, dress like, act like, eat like him, and you will receive all of the diseases and all the ills of your oppressor. I just want you to reflect on the life of Trayvon, Kenneth Walker, Katherine Johnston, and many, many, many others in this country whose blood have been taken and that spilled the streets. And then when you stop reflecting on them, think about the hundreds and thousands of them that are incarcerated wrongfully. That your president just decided to change the law of crack versus powdered cocaine. And how many of our sons have been taken off the street just because they had a plant in their car or on their person, or they were filling their own lungs with smoke. But as white supremacy fills the world's air with toxic chemicals, the world's water with toxic poison, the earth is being destroyed under its supremacy, but yet you continue to voluntarily vote for your oppressor's regime. We're going to go to break. And when we get ready to come back from break, I'm going to read a short scripture, and then I want to have the fire that the Creator has set on this set. It is, however, a black fire will be unleashed in your hearts and in your minds. If we have our break ready, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. I want to read from you in the book of Job, and verse 41, chapter 41 in the book of Job. You know, Job was a brother who was oppressed by his Creator. Why was it? Because he was wealthy, he had children, he had all the things that the world could give him. But Satan said to the Creator, is it not right that he should serve you because you have given everything to him? Let me touch his flesh, and he will curse you to his face. And remember now, what did Job's wife tell him after he went through all of the suffering, lost his children, lost his wealth? What did she say? Curse God and die. See, at the end of the day, we love our women. We love them more than life itself because we've given ourselves for them. But unfortunately, because of convenience and the lifestyle of Epicureanism and this system, they have been co-opted. Not all, but 99.9. So we come home and fight against them. We come home, we go to work, we fight against them. We go into the streets, we fight against them. And then ultimately that anger turns on each other. And we just began to destroy ourselves. While Europeans see that and they use them against us. In Job chapter 41, I want to pick it up at verse 1, and let's hear some of the words of this wise man. Can you draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which you lettest down? Can you put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto you? Will he speak soft words unto you? Will he make a covenant with you? Will you take him for a servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird, or will you bind him for your maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him, remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely portion. Who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a closed seal. One is so near another that no air can come in between them. They are joined together one to another. They stick together. They cannot be sundered. By his sneezing a light doth shine. His eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils go smoke. As out of a seething pot or cauldron, his breath kindles coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. See, as we follow Leviathan, the white European nation, we are being consumed by following them. Sooner or later, we will learn that to follow them is to follow death. I will now turn the studio over to a consuming fire, a black fire. And this is my beloved brother, BlackFire.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. Long time I haven't seen Gideon. And pleasure to be in the studio again.
Show him his camera.
Here. Please hear. All who has ears, let the Spirit hear what Gideon is saying to the churches. We are the churches, the people of the churches. You can follow our work on youtube.com/BlackFireArt. I'm on the earth trodden. So as surely as the ocean has the sand underneath the waters, our feet do touch each other. So thank you for having me. I thank you for the other warriors that are here. I call this Beauty in the East. People perish for lack of knowledge. This is for our peeps, the weep in the streets and pound the concrete. This is for those who rose out the cracks, petals start shining, learning how to stack hay and seize the day, carpe diem. This is a hymn in church for those that cyber confessions, man, do you see them? This is for the Jesus' Last Supper in prisons, convalescent homes where people die old with no lovers. This is for mothers and brothers, fathers and daughters. Beauty in the East, travel light, watch your speech. Babylon by bus, still mama won't let I cuss. Trust broken like bad ideas. The beast becomes the beautiful and truth is what's real. Beauty in the East, travel light, watch your speech. Babylon by bus, still mama won't let I cuss. Trust broken like bad ideals. The beast becomes the beautiful and truth is what's revealed. And the sun rising east where beauty becomes the beast. This is for the least of least. No tricks, just treats. Just work, no sleep. This is where still waters run deep. This is where Mumi Abu say, Obama, I beg your pardon. This is the ghetto, son. Not tuned into what's happening. Ain't got reruns. This is for one woman, one man, one vote. Why we mustn't wait and why Black Jesse Owen Dead Jacksons ain't no joke. Beauty in the East, travel light, watch your speech. Babylon by bus, still mama won't let I cuss. Trust broken like bad ideals. The beast becomes the beautiful. And truth is what's real. For little B locked up for life, only 13. This is a mama warrior's dream. One day people of every nation and creed will barack for reggae one drop. Touch, taste, feel. No Hollywood, no stages. Just broken hearts and inner rages. This is for the lion and lionesses still locked up in cages. Beauty in the East. Travel light, watch your speech. Babylon by bus, till mama won't let I cuss. Trust broken like bad ideas. The beast becomes the beautiful and truth is what's real. This is for you. Sow what you reap. When broad daylight people creep, the agony of defeat, lost in black sheep, heaps of gold in her valor. They claim it's not in Africa. Yet now it's cool to be Kenyan. Check the word for blessing, then learn a lesson. This is for 7-year-old emperors and ladies born queens. This is for Malcolm X courage and Martin Luther's dream. This is Aretha Franklin saying, rescue me, and Mahalia Jackson singing, roll, Jordan, roll. This is for you if you need to save your soul. I got our Jordans on like Michael, and I roll big ones just like Peter Tosh. And baby, if you catch it when I shook it, oh gosh. Stepping raisin needs a savior. Brown sugar ain't got no behavior. No longer nigger, now they need us, so they call us niggas. Gideon, can you feel us? Beauty in the East, least of least. Beauty and the Beast, Trayvon. Black beauty, BlackFire. Thank you. Blessed love.
Wow. 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 My brother, let me tell you, that's got chills and tears. You know, as we look at our condition in this country, our relationship with our Creator has suffered because we have torn ourselves away from our ancestral legacy and become captive to the European system of white supremacy. Because our children are no longer taught by the biblical precepts, they are put in a position to where they are confused. You know, I want to introduce this powerful panel. To my right, you all know who he is. It is a time of day, but more than that, it is a time of our condition in America. It is Elder Sundown.
Peace and blessing, my brother.
Peace and blessings to you. And to his right, the royalty of the set, the wisdom. He is back. You know who he is, Prince Zebekiah. Shalom, Elder. And you have already met the consuming fire, black fire. Peace and blessings to the eye. You know, Elder Prince Zebekiah, as we reflect on our condition in this country, we are without sanctuary. Spiritually, for those of us who know of our Creator, we know there is a sanctuary. It is internal. But when it comes to the geographical positioning of our people on the planet, we are all over the planet, and our condition, we have no sanctuary as men, as we saw in the life and the blood spilled of Trayvon Martin. What say you about our condition in being without sanctuary?
We'll get in when we analyze the whole situation. It's because things are happening to us because we're not being made aware of our reason for being here. We talk about a sanctuary. We had a sanctuary, and we still have a sanctuary. You see, the problem has been that we get disconnected from that connection that puts us in power, puts us in a position where we all...
Pull your mic out and put it to you. You can just pull it out. There you go.
Well, we all need to understand that we were brought here for punishment.
Exactly.
Okay? And we all need to understand that we are the children of the Most High.
That's right.
And in the 43rd chapter of Isaiah, which reads like this, the people which I have formed for myself, that they might tell of my praise, yet thou hast not called upon me, O Jacob. Neither hast thou wearied thyself about me, O Israel. Thou hast not bought me thy small cattle, thy burnt offerings, neither hast thou honored me with thy sacrifices.
That's right.
I have not burdened thee with a meal offering, nor wearied thee with frankincense. Thou hast bought me no sweet cane with the money, neither hast thou satisfied me with the fat of the ram. But thou hast burdened me with thy sins. Thou hast wearied me with thine iniquity. I am he that blotteth out thy transgressions for my own sake, and thy sins I will not remember. This is very important for us to understand, because when we understand that he called us for a purpose, the purpose was to explain and express that who he is, the power that exists in all life, comes from the creator of heaven and earth. Our children are not being taught that. Right. Our children don't even understand that. And our leaders are allowing things to happen because, number one, look, it'd be wise if we know that there's an image created that when we put on a hoodie, it signifies gangster. It signifies a different element than what it did back, as you mentioned earlier. It had nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with religion now. So our leaders would be wise to say, look, kids, take off the hoods. Stop buying FUBU. Okay? In other words, make FUBU say, look, we ain't going to sell hoodies no more. Okay? The image that's being projected out here is what's destroying. Okay? Because the man, who our oppressor, who looks at us and saying, well, he knows what being a gangster is about, but he was the first gangster.
Hello?
Okay? So, but he sees that this stuff has come to him and placed it in a position, or we've been being placed in a position where we are developing, even in our kids' minds, the negative rap, the negative people that have gone before us.
Right.
I love Biggie. I love Tupac. Friends of his mother. I also know that what's being taught out here has been taking us from this concept of where we once used to be. We came up out of the South. We were brought here to the South. Godly men.
Right.
Godly women.
Right.
Now we're niggas, and we all sorts of scum.
Right.
And that has been dumped in our lap, and we are still sitting here trying to develop it, polish it up a little.
Exactly.
And we're allowing people to attract our minds. But if we remember from whence we came, the Creator says, remember me. Okay? It tells our people, our leaders, our churches, yes, we have a sanctuary.
Okay.
But we ain't teaching to our children what the sanctuary is. Moses was told, take off your shoes.
Right.
For the ground that you stand on is holy ground.
That's
when
right.
you're connected with the Creator of heaven and earth.
Yes, sir.
And that's our problem. We're afraid to express this. We don't want to talk about it in our churches. See, we don't understand that, number one, the book of Leviticus is the book that was created. It was called one time the law of the priest. If you ain't practicing those precepts and the understanding and instruction given in Leviticus, you're not a minister. So you're therefore not projecting or teaching the will of God. And that's what the problem is, my brothers and sisters.
You know, I want to just say big ups to Buddy Crunk. Buddy Crunk is the young hip-hop artist that I saw, holy hip-hop artist that I saw the other night. He's got a little crew around there. They're talking about the white God that has been forced on them, of course. They don't realize who or what they're dealing with. But this is what has been given to them, so this is what they have to work with. But I also want to say to the Hebrew community, Happy New Year. That's right. Really, and I know many of you say, what? Right, because you've been following Whitey for so long. Your new year, or his new year rather, starts in the dead of winter when everything is dead, you know, because they worship the Roman god of doors, Janus. That's why the month January is named after the Roman god of doors, which is Janus, a two-faced god that looks in the past and into the future, mythology. But of course, when you look at nature, everything at this point is doing what? Coming alive. It's blooming. It is the new year based on the cycle of the moon, which the new moon was just last week. So Happy New Year to all of you who are in tune with the Creator and in tune with the Spirit. Now, Elder Sundown, when we talk about without sanctuary, as a man who has been a Muslim, who is connected with the universe, who knows what's happening in our streets, have seen tragedy and have seen hope and life revisited. What say you about us being without sanctuary?
I'm going to start with the hip-hop. When you talk about Biggie, Tupac, okay, in the early 80s, the rap was positive.
Yes.
The big record companies with their $1 billion told the rappers that were doing the positive rap, you ain't got no place here.
Right. Right.
Then Ice Cube, Ice-T, Eazy-E came up with that NWA nigga with attitude.
There you go.
That was the spark
Teach.
that sent the hip-hop into the gutter.
Right.
But it was the big record company. Now, when you look at Lockett Arnold's and all of them that run the record, these black folks now.
Yes, sir.
They went along with this. They didn't tell the master, look, we ain't selling out.
Right.
We're not going to get our young people to take this rap into the gutter.
Right.
No, they wanted to get paid. So it started with that.
Right.
Now, I'll go back to what Elijah Muhammad said almost probably 80 years ago.
Teach.
That until black people, melanated people, go back and come back to their own
Yes, sir.
and accept who they are. When he said, accept your own and be yourself. Do research, study, change your diet. That's where it started, Brother Gilly.
Right.
Now, as I watch all the talks circuit this morning on that tube there, and the few blacks that they had on the panels,
Right.
they did not want to acknowledge what we are talking about.
Of course not. Bet not.
Yeah. Even the whites said, let's wait and let the information and let justice take its course.
Right.
They didn't even came out that Zimmerman
Right.
said he had cuts on his head, a bloody nose.
Right.
And that he went back to the truck, and Trayvon approached him, and that's when they went at it.
Right.
Now, I know that they ain't going to arrest that man.
Of course not.
I don't care. It's about 5 different high powerful black defensive lawyers in the state of Florida. All last week on the TV said the evidence, like you said, that they should have coned off the crime scene,
Absolutely.
preserved his clothes,
Exactly.
tested him.
Yes, sir.
All that's been lost.
Absolutely.
That's the basis of the case.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm going to bring it here to Atlanta, Georgia, that I saw on the 12 o'clock news today.
Yes, sir.
An 18-year-old in Village, Wesley Chapel, that's, was murdered
Right.
by 2 security guards.
That's right.
Now, they showed the 18-year-old face, but they didn't show the security guard.
Right.
Not only did they kill him, but they ran over him with a car. This the
Right.
day.
Right. Right.
I mean, it happened last night.
Yes, sir.
But it was on. So, what Brother Prince said,
Yes.
until we recognize where we're headed. Now, one more point I want to make.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about the hoodie,
Yeah.
Geraldo Rivera
Mm-hmm.
said what you just said about the hoodie.
Right.
They massacred him. Black people, white people, I'm talking about, they massacred him. What he said about the hoodie.
Right.
That they need to be taken off, put away. And he was massacred on Fox Network for what you just said about the hoodie.
Well, you know, when we look at this condition of our people, and the hoodie, of course, where it came from, Roman Catholic priests and so forth, as long as they were doing it's all good. When we co-opt following their example, then we all have to not forget 2 Live Crew, this dude back in the day, Luke Skywalker. Luke, I say Skywalker, I think that was that Star Wars thing, but Luke, he helped to corrupt that thing.
Exactly,
You know, BlackFire. Yes, yes. As a brother who is a warrior, who wearing the knotty dreadlock, who has the truth of our people ingrained in your blood, who have not bowed down to the image of Baal. As you see our people, the conformists of our people, who are collaborators with the oppressor, unwilling to remember their ancestors, but through coercion and manipulation, willing to follow their oppressor to the depths of hell so they can appease him. What say you as a sound mind and bodied young man living in the daughter of Babylon of us being without sanctuary?
Without sanctuary. The word sanctuary suggests rest, right? It suggests tranquility. It suggests peace. When Peter Tosh was invited to the Free Peace concert, I can speak for my reference, so well eloquently spoken, the other 2 warriors. Let's go over to Jamaica for a second and see if we can get some ideas to deal with this, because that little island been battling a foot on its neck for a while, and they can't shut us up, hence Rastafari. That's a roar in us that says we ain't going nowhere. We will still find life here. Y'all won't let us past that physical port, but we're going to ascend into the spiritual port, hence the music, the influence. If it be known, the influence of Jamaican music toasting when the singer was late. He just rapped on top of a record. In Jamaica, a lot of Jamaicans, when they go, they congregate in New York.
Right.
The kids on the street saw our swag and said, that's pretty powerful. We like that. They just saying what they want to say. And they're speaking from their heart. We need to do that. Boom, hip-hop on the break beats. And if you check the Naya Bingy rhythm, doom, 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 and check the 808.
Yes.
Come on now. We one people, and we got to trace it. We just need to express ourselves. We're frustrated.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Most times we put the hoodie up when we're frustrated. We don't want nobody to see us.
Right.
Same reason the priests used to put it on.
Teach.
Yeah, they were one-on-one communing with the Most High.
Yes.
But we're communing with our inner man. Maybe perhaps because we don't want to go kill somebody.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? We just want to deal with ourselves and let that fire implode and burn out within us. Maybe we don't want to hit our girlfriend who's a product of this poison, who we think is boning one of our brethren next door. You know what I mean? Maybe we don't want to shake our child because we're a little frustrated, you know what I mean? Because the child won't stop crying. But we're afraid that maybe the mama was a crackhead on the side and the child may have some things inside of it that need to be medically dealt with, but we can't afford the hospital fee.
Exactly.
My brother.
Yes, sir.
So in Jamaica, what we do is we make our own root strings. We go into the earth.
Yes.
Right.
Since we can't go that way, we go that way.
Exactly.
We pull the roots out the earth.
Yes.
We start dealing with ourselves from like the Matrix. The Matrix is about the inside, from the inside out. You see, they full of tricks. So we flip the trick on them. We walk past them and realize they're looking for us. The reason they set up classrooms, to make a long story short and short story shorter, is so that they can investigate our minds.
That's right.
We think they're teaching us. We're actually teaching them. That's the reason for the multiple choice questions and the essay questions. They want to see what we think about those ideas. That's just a big panel because they got all this knowledge from books they stole from Africa and they don't know what to do with it.
Exactly.
So they say, okay, well, you graduated. You're an A student. You're a top student. And then that's the Willie Lynch syndrome.
Yes,
Or you're smarter than you. No, you just got the information before I did.
Exactly.
Can we rap about it?
Exactly.
Yes.
Then I'll be where you at.
Exactly.
And then I can say it in my way, you say it in your way.
Exactly.
That's what Tupac was about.
Exactly.
So I want to defend Tupac in about 3 seconds.
Go ahead, my brother.
Tupac was a tragedy.
Exactly.
All right? But Tupac said something very clearly. I was dealt this hell of a hand. I didn't make it.
That's right.
Tupac did not have a record until he made a record.
Exactly.
Tupac was going to School of Performing Arts.
You're right. That's right.
His mom, through political situation, had to
Exactly.
leave that situation where
Exactly.
you know that they were watching her and her son,
Exactly.
Mary and her son,
Exactly.
that was born inside of the prison
Exactly.
in the
That's right.
manger.
That's right.
They were watching him because his father and their parents were part of Panthers.
Exactly.
They knew that somebody was coming out of that.
Reality.
Come on.
Reality.
Yes, sir.
They knew somebody was coming out of
Yes,
it.
sir.
But they changed the name to protect the innocent.
Exactly.
So they look at Tupac. Is it him?
Right.
He kind of loud spoken. He kind of cocky. It's not him. It must be that one.
Right.
But by the time they turned around, Tupac was already educated.
Exactly.
A white person was paying for his education
Exactly.
over there because it was too talented to let him slip through the crack.
Exactly.
And even white people want to hear what we have to say. It goes back to what I'm saying. They're
Exactly.
frustrated. They can't raise their children. My mother, so we're from Jamaica now here. My mother, I watched her raise other people's children, and she was not there for us.
Yes.
I had to raise myself, my twin sister, and my little brother. I was walking her home since I was 2 years old from preschool.
Yes, sir.
Come on now.
Yes.
So when I'm defending my sisters today, I'm still defending my twin sister. It's reflex.
Yes.
My mom ain't there. My dad ain't there. So I got to be a man of the house.
Yes.
Trayvon was out there trying to work out something in his meditation because that's what Africans do.
Yes.
Melanin calls for outside.
Yes.
The lunar light stores up the sunlight. So we're just charging our batteries at night.
sir.
They want to keep us cooped up like animals
Exactly.
because they know that we're born to roam like
Exactly.
lions, and it will
Exactly.
frustrate us.
Exactly.
They don't just frustrate us inside of buildings, they frustrate us inside of ideas,
Exactly.
and these laws are built to frustrate
Yes,
us so
sir.
we fly off the handle
Yes, sir.
and hurt somebody else, hurt ourselves, but most importantly, that we do not advance, we do not progress.
Exactly.
The only solution to this problem is that we have to know ourselves. We have to
Exactly.
know ourselves as human beings,
Yes.
not as black people. Black is a color
Exactly.
that defines resonance energy.
Exactly.
Yes.
And when you speak of black in accounting, that means that you don't owe nobody. You're in the black.
Yes.
So we're balanced human beings because we're still connected to the sun and the soil.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And they are outside of the loop.
Yes.
And they're trying to watch our swag. They're trying to contain us so that they can watch us and study us like an experiment. Once we realize we're part of a program, a part of an experiment, and stop cooperating with the experiment, and like Tupac, kick up dust if we have to, you cannot be a criminal inside of a fallen institution.
Exactly.
The institution is criminal.
Yes,
sir.
it is.
We're survivors.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What I got to say to my people, keep surviving.
Yes,
the
sir.
garment ain't the problem,
Yes.
right? We got to speak through the language, through the clothes. Take the same hoodie and put the African flag on top of it.
There you
Rastafari.
You know, Prince Zebekiah, I mean, I'm just so full today because I know the hope of our people. And when I talk about the condition that our women are under, I know it's because the oppression of our people has allowed what they consider the weaker link to raise our children to where we got entertainers and rappers and thugs. But when men ran the household, our children had more discipline and honor and respect. And the women were in the houses taking care of our children.
Yes,
but
sir.
of course, like the movie The Help, they had to raise their children too,
Yes,
didn't
sir.
they? Speak to us again in conclusion, because our time is running out, about Without Sanctuary.
It is, you know, even with the whole concept of the things that we're talking about, the hoodie came really, it goes beyond.
Your mic.
The hoodie goes beyond the priest or the Roman Catholic Church. The hoodie goes way back to our forefathers.
Yes.
Okay, when we talk about Elijah and his mantle.
Yes.
But what they did with it, they covered themselves up to commune with the Creator, with the
Exactly.
power.
Yes.
Okay, and that's where it came from.
Yes.
Okay, but we've been taught so much foolishness.
Yes.
These ministers need to sit down
Yeah.
Right.
because they don't know.
They get paid though, brother.
Exactly.
But they still need to sit down and
Yeah,
they need to
exactly.
realize the problems in our community is their fault.
Exactly.
Why
That's
is
right.
it their fault? Because they don't know what to teach.
Exactly.
Right? They don't know how to connect the
Exactly.
people back up with the Creator, the
Exactly.
power force. All right?
Exactly.
Where if you speak a word, it'll happen.
Yes, sir.
Now understand another thing. We're in this land, and our oppressor is looking for that person who was supposed to be a leader. So he looked at all the chiefs. We go back to the FBI.
Right.
Searching for.
Right.
Right.
But the bottom line
Right.
is what we need to be able to tell this society and the world. Right? We are your salvation.
That's
Exactly.
right.
That's right.
We
That's
are
right.
your salvation.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
We are the children of the Most
High.
High. Creator.
That's right.
The one, as I said here, to teach the praises of the Most High God.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
So it is in their best interest.
That's right.
Right? It's to back
That's
up.
right.
The scripture says to Abraham and his seed.
Yes, sir.
Right? Whosoever shall curse Abraham shall be what?
Shall be accursed.
And whosoever shall bless Abraham shall be
be
blessed.
blessed.
That's
So
right.
if that's the case, then if they cursing us, then along the line they're cursing themselves.
Exactly.
That's right.
That's why there's so much disease.
Exactly.
Okay, that's why cancer is at the
Exactly.
number one. It's taking us
Exactly.
out by the thousands.
Exactly.
All right? But if they understood
Yes, sir.
that the power lies with those who are connected and to teach the praises of the Most High.
That's right.
And that's the children that God created and formed for himself.
That's right.
Now I want to add to
Yes, sir. Come on in
Jimmy.
here.
When he's saying about the preachers and the ministers.
Right.
Now, even though they are out here, it's still people like BlackFire,
Right.
like Prince Zebekiah,
Right.
like you,
Yes, sir.
myself, Brother Anthony, Minister Farrakhan, Black Panther,
Right.
that have this knowledge.
Right.
But for some reason, our peoples gravitate toward the ministers and this foolishness.
Well, it's the women, of course, who are in these churches by the hundreds of thousands. They are uplifting these men that the government is subsidizing in order to miseducate and train our children to look like Al Sharpton is doing, to look to where? To the oppressor. They
Right.
keep having these
Right.
marches
Right.
rather than, we're without sanctuary. You know, Malachi Z. York
Right.
set up a compound.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
that compound was supposed
Right.
to be a sanctuary.
Exactly,
What did
exactly.
they do? They went in and infiltrated, had his
Right.
own children,
Right.
drop a dime
Dime
on
on
him,
him, yep.
and now they've got him incarcerated.
And not
Amir Abu-Jamal.
Right,
The,
that's right.
The list goes on
Yeah,
and
on,
on.
yeah.
I've been incarcerated.
Right, exactly.
Anybody that they feel is a threat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I wanted to say Wesley Stank, because he
And
helped
Wes-
bankroll,
Exactly.
and they got him for tax evasion.
Exactly.
So he in prison too.
Absolutely.
But what I wanted to say is that the information is out here.
Right.
And even though you saying that about our sister is upholding, something got to break that bind
Right.
and filter this information that we talking about,
Right.
so our children can be revived and lifted up, like he said, between the sun and the earth,
Yes, sir.
and know who they are,
Right.
and come out of this madness, and then build heaven here on this earth.
Right.
Because I don't believe you got to die to go to no damn heaven. I never accept that.
It's a state of mind. It is a state of
I
mind.
never accept that.
Prince, I know you wanted to say, give me a time check on that, because I know our time is coming to a close. We just want to emphasize the Creator, as we always do on this program, as you feel our spirit and see and hear the wisdom, help us to recognize this unity. And when I talk about the condition of our people, it's not just our, so you have so many young men that are there killing each other. Some man in East Point train station was killed, beaten to death, clothes taken totally off, left naked, and these young beasts raped. But see, Al Sharpton and these people will not go and march for this. As long as we killing each other, ain't no press on that. That's why I say, even though I respect my brother, he is a systems agent. He's a government agent, and he's turning our people away from our Creator and turning us back to the white man's system, which is destroying us. I'm sorry, Prince, go ahead, and we're going to make concluding statements. We got about 5 minutes
Yet
left.
now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. For what? Thus saith the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, who will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou Yeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon the thirsty land, and streams, and shall bring the spring amongst the grass. One shall say, I am another. Well, to boil it down to the bottom line of the whole thing, we are the children of the Most High God.
That's right.
And we need to reconnect
Yes, sir.
with the Most High God.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Because surely all the things that are happening to us, as it said earlier in this scripture, you have not called upon me, because you're busy calling on princes
Yes,
and men
right. That's right.
and the soul, and not calling upon the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob.
BlackFire, give us some concluding statements.
Real summary. You said the word club. I'm a poet, so I'll talk from there. You said the word club. I'm a poet, so I'm going to just touch that in conclusion.
Yes.
They used to beat their women with clubs. They were not very creative, so they didn't make bows and arrows. Their form of weapons was clubs.
That's right.
So you see, the tender mercies of the wicked is cruelty.
Exactly.
So we got to stop looking at their mentality in order to define our melanin.
Exactly.
The problems and the solutions are among us.
Exactly.
They clubbed their woman. Then when they interacted with us, they clubbed us.
Exactly.
They gave us club sandwiches and then put us in clubs to eat it and dance. Right? No, but look at the word. Look at the journeys.
Exactly.
Same thing with the whip.
Exactly.
They whipped us, gave us whipped cream, and then put us in whips to drive around.
Yes, sir.
See, we're lost because we're lost here.
Exactly.
Words sound power, Rasta says. We're speaking our own destruction and thinking we got swag because I'm a little bit more white than you.
Exactly.
My suit shine a little bit more than yours, not knowing that shine on there is some chemicals they put on. That's going to come back and get into your dermatology, give you skin cancer that you should never get. Once your skin is deteriorated, your front organ, the first line of defense is gone. So what I just touched, the first line of defense, the skin of the organ of the family is the mother and father. That unit is gone. My mother was raising somebody else's child. She didn't raise me. The streets raised me. So when y'all got a problem with me being a true, humble, unified gathering soldier, a thug, Tupac took the name that was put on him and he defined it. He gave it an elevated meaning. So everybody can look at the negative or they can look at the positive. They can curse the darkness or they can light a candle. And because I'm here because of my choices. Therefore, my choices don't have me with a hoodie being a target somewhere. It has me among the elders.
That's right.
My work has been sufficient for my spiritual food. And I'm happy to be here, happy for the choices I made, but I'm not giving up on my people that didn't make it over. Little B locked up at 13 because while Clinton was playing saxophones and hypnotizing us, he was writing little bills on the side that allowed 13-year-old black people to be arrested and thrown in jail. I've said enough.
Yes, I wanted to say about, he's saying about the cancer and disease, also the insects, the stink bugs, the bed bugs, the ants. They are making havoc on them.
Come on, exactly. The whole world.
They ain't got nothing to exterminate it because the insects are rejecting
the earth is rejecting them as entities.
And by he was saying it's a whole history about how our mothers during slavery gave the breast from their milk to their children and not to their own children. And that's how they became more intelligent and strong. Because the milk from the black woman, or the melanated woman, was going into the white child and not into the black child. That's why we became weak and inferior.
You know, I just want to thank you all so much for being with us. We are humble servants. This is your program. There's not any of you that I've ever rejected from coming on, being a part. You just have to be able to be sincere and true. It is a vehicle that the Creator has given you. We are your servants. And as the servants of the Creator, whether you know him, he knows us. It is our job to perpetuate righteousness and truth and decency and honor. But as men, if we don't know how to love each other, if we don't love ourselves, how can we love the woman?
That's right.
How can we lift her up to the position where she will not deny us with all the propaganda of white supremacy, with all the institutions that they have created to take her away from us? We can elevate each other again, and we must. Because as our condition continues to deteriorate in this country, as we continue to divide from each other and be conquered, we must remember from whence we came, our mother's womb. And in that womb there was security. It was a sanctuary.
Yes, sir.
But the Creator had to bring us out of that sanctuary to be released unto the world, not so that we would be without sanctuary, but where we would prepare another sanctuary for our people. And as white supremacy continues through the brutality of the police, through the brutality of their institutions, through the brutality of their inequities, and as they destroy us, they destroy themselves. So we hope that those clear-thinking individuals of you that are out there will join with us, not in a march, not in a protest against this government, but in unity about uplifting righteousness, wherever you are within the sound of my voice and within the spiritual connections and vibrations that I send out to you. As a servant of Yah, a lowly, po-colored country boy, cotton picker, I pray that the Creator will uplift you and heal you and strengthen you as we sojourn together, no matter what's your color, your nationality, your identity, that we can come together in peace. The Most High be with you. Peace.
Powerful.